Before this video starts, if you enjoyed this video, there are many more like it already on the channel with many more like it to come in the future, so subscribe. I am trying to hit 125,000 subscribers by the end of the year, so I would really appreciate it. I upload daily on this channel, so if you're looking for some consistent basketball talk, this is the place for it. Also, drop a like on this video. It only takes 1 second. It makes a massive difference. Also, real quick, before this video starts, can you please do me a favor and go check out my film channel's latest video on why I believe Uncharted 4 is the best game of the series. It is an hour long of me analyzing Uncharted 4 and why I believe it was better than Uncharted 2. So if you care about that series, it's going to interest you. If you care about Naughty Dog games, it's going to interest you. So go give that one a watch. It was really fun to make, and I'd like to be able to make more of them, so your support over there would allow me to do that, so I'd appreciate that. But today, we are talking about the 2020 offseason that is coming up very soon, and what you can anticipate to happen, or what I expect to happen, and some predictions that I have. So, first of all, I do want to address the 3 ones in the thumbnail, which is Buddy Hield to the Sixers, Demar Derozan to the Orlando Magic, and Montrezl Harrell to the Mavs. So for Buddy Hield to the Sixers, this has been rumored for a little bit, and more recently, Buddy Hield has been liking a lot of posts suggesting that the Sixers should trade for him. And it seems like he has vested interest in going there, and of course the Sixers would have interest in him because they need three-point shooting, and with Buddy Hield's situation in Sacramento, it seems like they're going to be moving on for him. They seem to be more interested in Bogdan as the starter because he's more of an initiator on offense, not just a three-point shooter, while still being a good three-point shooter. But in the case of the Philadelphia 76ers, a guy who is just a three-point shooter is perfectly fine for them because they need a lot of three-point shooting. So it's really a match made in heaven. As for what the actual trade would be, it would, in my opinion, it would be Josh Richardson and some extra contracts thrown in there like Furkan Korkmaz and Mike Scott just to make the salaries work. But there's also a real chance that it is Al Horford. And there's a reason why that is, and that is that the Sacramento Kings initially offered Al Horford a contract in the previous offseason. I don't think it was quite as hefty as what the Sixers offered him, but it was a pretty big contract. So it seemed like they were okay with Al Horford, and Al Horford is not as overpaid playing the center position. The reason his contract is so bad in Philadelphia is because he is playing out of position, but with him actually at center, it's not a horrible overpay. It might be in a few years, but as of right now, $25 million for Al Horford is not horrible. In my opinion, if I was in the place of the Sacramento Kings, I would rather take Josh Richardson and a first-round pick, and that way I don't have to deal with that contract. And Josh Richardson is a pretty good replacement for Buddy Hield, who would be much more content coming off of the bench than Buddy Hield is. And if I'm taking back that Al Horford contract, I need 2 first-round picks, not 1. So Philly would probably be more interested in the Al Horford trade, even with those firsts. But in the place of the Kings, I'd rather have the first and just Josh Richardson to replace Buddy Hield, because he's like, I don't know, 80% as good as Buddy is, but Buddy is a much better fit with the Sixers, so that's that one. Demar Derozan to the Orlando Magic. This one seems like a match made in hell, but it's also a match that seems like it's going to be happening, because I don't think it's a good idea for the Magic to sign DeMar DeRozan. However, I think the Magic think it's a good idea, and I think DeMar DeRozan thinks it's a good idea, because DeRozan wants a team where he can get a bunch of shots, and the Spurs are kind of limiting him in that regard, and the Orlando Magic will give him that opportunity, and the Magic really need some shot creation from a guy like DeMar DeRozan. Even though he can't shoot for shit, it does help that he can create shots on the perimeter. Also, just my 2 cents in here, if I'm in the place of the Magic, I'm basically just blowing everything up and just keeping Jonathan Isaac and Markelle Fultz and everyone else pretty much be damned, but doesn't seem like they're interested in doing that. Seems like they're content being an 8th seed for a lot of time, so DeMar DeRozan is pretty much the perfect player for being a consistent 8th seed, so I guess it is a match made in hell. Next, Montrezl Harrell to the Dallas Mavericks. This is something that has been rumored for a little bit now, ever since the Clippers lost in the second round. And the reasoning for this is that Montrezl Harrell is going to be a really good guy who can initiate offense with the Dallas Mavericks. And in the case of Harrell, I don't know that it's going to be a perfect match, just because I think Montrezl Harrell would prefer a longer term contract, and really in the case of Dallas, they're going to offer him a 1 year so that they have free agency open, or cap space available for 2021's free agency to sign Giannis Antetokounmpo. But If he is interested in the fit, I do think there's no really not a better place in the Mavericks because he has a perfect pick and roll playmaker for him with Luka Doncic. The floor will be completely spaced out with Kristaps Porzingis at power forward, and also defensively, even though Montrezl Harrell is not a good defender, it would allow the Mavericks to be a little bit bigger inside, and I think overall it'd be a better defense than two really smaller guys. Even though Harrell is technically smaller, he plays bigger than he is, so you know what I mean. And I do think this is just a good landing spot for Herald. It's by no means the only option for him, but it's where I think he's going to end up. If he really cares about getting a longer term contract, which I wouldn't be shocked if he was, I could see him going to teams that are more interested in giving him that money. I've actually seen rumors of him going to the Chicago Bulls. I don't know how to feel about that as a Bulls fan, but I could also see that one happening, so that's also an option. The other things I have written down here: Goran Dragic to the Milwaukee Bucks or the Los Angeles Clippers. I don't think a lot of people have taken into consideration the fact that Goran Dragic is there's a pretty good chance he leaves the Miami Heat just because of his advanced age. And he's not, dead or anything by NBA standards, but he's getting up there. And there's a real chance that the Miami Heat are not interested in offering him more than a one-year deal. As a matter of fact, I'm almost certain that's the case, because they want cap space available for 2021's free agency, again, to sign Giannis. 2021's free agency is really going to impact 2020's free agency because no one wants to give a really big contract to a guy who's going to not be nearly as valuable as someone who will be available next year, and they want to have that cap space available. So in the case of Miami Heat, they can't really offer Dragic a long-term deal because that would interfere with their free agency plans for 2021. So as a result, I could see Dragic going to a team like the Bucks or the Clippers because they will be more capable of giving him a longer-term contract, and while also allowing him to be on a contending level team. On the Clippers, he can be a playmaker, and they desperately need that playmaker as well as just another ball handler and shot creator who hopefully will initiate some offense in a system and not just everyone's doing ISO over and over. And in the case of the Milwaukee Bucks, they have needed shot creation. And in the case of the Milwaukee Bucks, they have needed shot creation for quite a while. He would be a cheaper option than trading for, say, Bradley Beal or Chris Paul. I do think that would be a good fit, and they could offer him the mid-level or maybe even a little bit higher if they freed up some cap space, and I do think that would be a great fit, and they can offer him a multi-year contract. The Miami Heat really can't, and I think both the Clippers and Bucks are in a position where they can give big money or bigger money longer term and still allow him to contend. It's also for this reason that I don't think he's going to go to the Dallas Mavericks like many people have suggested. Yes, he has the Luka Doncic connection, and the Mavericks seem to be a team that just loves foreign players. However, they're also interested in Giannis's 2021 free agency, so I don't think they're going to be giving him a longer-term contract. If Dragic is okay taking a one-year deal, then he either re-signs with the Miami Heat or he goes to the Dallas Mavericks. But if he's looking for a longer-term deal, Milwaukee and Los Angeles are my two top picks. And actually, if they manage to free up some cap space, the Los Angeles Lakers also could get themselves in this conversation, which would certainly be interesting. They would have to make a couple of trades to free up that cap space, but I do think that would be a good fit as well. But last but not least, I want to talk about Davis Bertans. I think he's going to get a fat contract. Actually, let me talk about Jeremy Grant as well, because I love talking about Jeremy Grant. I think both of these guys are going to get bigger contracts than I think people are expecting them to. I don't exactly know what team it's going to be quite yet, but I think both of them are going to get something between $15 to $20 million a year. And I think it's going to shock a lot of people that don't really know how good both of these guys are, but those contracts are 100% going to be worth it. Jeremy Grant is a very good defensive player, and he plays well within the offensive system, capable spot-up shooter, capable of creating off of the dribble a little bit, which he showed in the playoffs and to close out the season for the Nuggets in the bubble. And he is a very athletic player, so he can run the break. He's a pretty good ball handler, so he can initiate the break. Just a very, very good role player. And in the case of Davis Bertans, this year he was arguably the best three-point shooter in the NBA, just because Steph Curry and Klay Thompson didn't play this season, really. Steph Curry played a little bit, but not a lot. So he shot almost 43% from three on 9 attempts per game as a power forward, and these were by no means just easy-ass catch and shoots. The guy was taking them off of the dribble occasionally. He was taking them off of the catch, fading away with the defender in his face on the fast break, moving. These are not a bunch of stationary catch and shoot threes that this guy is taking. Even though he got plenty of those, he was taking very contested threes and he still shot this well on this many attempts. A shooter of this caliber, even if he is not out really good at anything outside of shooting, is going to get a pretty decent bag. That's the same thing that happened with Buddy Hield, but now we're getting out of a guy who is 6'10". So Davis Bertans, I believe, is going to get a pretty hefty deal. Now, it might be with the Washington Wizards. It might be with another team that's interested in a stretch four. A lot of teams would be interested in a guy like him, and teams that have this level of cap space would definitely want to throw him a deal. But I know for sure that he's going to get more money than people are anticipating because he's a little bit slept on. Same goes for Jeremy Grant. But yeah, those are some small predictions for or I guess they're really the bigger ones because there's not a whole lot happening in this year's free agency, but those are some predictions for 2020's NBA offseason. I do expect some moves to happen that are going to make a difference, but I don't expect any earth-shattering moves unless some star player that we don't know about is going to be demanding a trade. So yeah, again, go check out that Uncharted video, and if you want 2 extra videos like this one, 2 extra 2K talks, go subscribe to me on Patreon for $3 a month. You get extra content and access to a Discord server. I keep saying that and then keep not making it, but eventually it'll happen one of these days when I get off my ass and actually do it. But yeah, that is the end of this video. Please be sure to like and subscribe for more NBA content like this, and cue the outro music.